adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures Pipeman W4CY Radio. Super excited about this interview because, man, this is one of the best freaking live bands ever in the history of music, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions too. And I'm so happy that they are finally releasing this kind of ghost album that was record labels decided not to have it the way the Butthole Surfers would have it. And in 2026, we're going to have it the way the Butthole Surfers have it. So let's welcome to the show, Paul. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Like, you, as somebody from the 80s and the beginning of, stuff, like, I remember sitting backstage on the Sunset Strip and those record labels telling bands how to write their music, how to look, how to do things. And I was like, I'm out. That is not how music should be. Let the artists be the creatives, the business people, the suits do the business, but let the artists be creative. And here we are all these years later, finally releasing this album the way you wanted to.
Yeah, well, I can definitely relate to what you're saying because, we were too weird. We got on signed to a major label, but they didn't know what to do with us. I mean, we're the Butthole Surfers. They just left us to our own devices, other than giving us a bunch of money to record with, so we could go out and hire John Paul Jones and go to a country club studio and all that other kind of stuff. But then once we had a #1 hit in the song Pepper, then all of a sudden they took an interest and decided they needed to step in and tell us how to be.
I mean, what did they expect? You're the Butthole Surfers. Like, the name alone should say you're going to be a little weird, and it should stay that way.
Yeah, I thought we were just going to be free to be whatever we wanted to be, without any interference, and that was very naive. And we ended up going through the ringer, and our drummer jokes about, they wanted us to write a song with Kid Rock, so we do that, and our drummer's like reduced to playing tambourine on a Kid Rock song, and
oh boy,
he likes to bring that up a lot, so I thought I'd bring it up for him here.
Right, there you go. It was funny. I was just doing media coverage at a festival, Milwaukee Metal Fest, and one of the sets I was at, I was like, that would be a cool tour to do the Butthole Surfers and them. It was Green Jello, who's now called Green Jelly, because Jello only supports pedos, but they won't support a band that has good music and sue them for using the name.
We live in crazy times.
I know, right? I know. And, it's like some of the stuff you guys did way back when, that's what made shows fun, man. Like this Green Jello show that I was at the festival, it was like they handed out like noodles, like pool noodles to everybody, and the whole mosh pit was noodles, and it was like the funniest, most fun mosh pit I was ever in. And that's the way it should be. It like don't take yourself too seriously. It's music, it's creative and creativity, it's art. And
that's actually a really great idea. If they don't have things in their hands, they tend to like start throwing punches at each other and stuff.
True.
That sounds great.
Right? Totally. So let me ask you, as the artist, how do you compare the way you wanted this album to be, which it is now coming out in a few days after the astronaut, compared to what they wanted to turn it into when they turned it into Weird Revolution?
Well, a lot of the songs are the same, but they're mixed different, and a lot of them have different arrangements. And then a couple of the weirder songs off the record, they just didn't want them at all. So they cut off a couple of songs, 2 or 3 songs, I can't remember. That album was called Weird Revolution, I believe.
Yeah, totally.
So we got to bring those back, and they're kind of the stupider, crazier songs, and to me, that's what we live for. and they're like my favorite songs on the record.
Because
So
they're you. That's why.
yeah.
It's all you. It's kind of like, and you know what I was thinking about when you were talking about the mixes? I heard, I think it was Hetfield talking about when they did Kill 'Em All, and the band wasn't even allowed in the studio when they did the final master mix. Like,
Whoa.
this band had been playing these same songs for years. They knew exactly the way they wanted it, and they don't even have a say. So how Kill 'Em All came out, yeah, it was a good album, but not what Metallica wanted that album to be.
I can't believe that they put up with that.
Right? And
I mean, I do a lot of mixing work for bands, and I don't let anybody in the studio when I'm mixing. But what I do is send them a mix and say, "What do you think?" And they'll say, "Well, I want more of this and less of that," and that's fine. That's what I do, because the artist deserves to have what they want to have. There's just there should be no compromising ever.
No. I mean, otherwise, how you play the songs and have the same kind of feeling towards them? It's like sometimes, I guess, as an artist, you probably feel like it's not even your song anymore when they start doing that, right?
Absolutely, and it happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So,
I suppose for some people that it doesn't really matter that much, but when you're as fucked up and crazy as we are, we kind of need fucked up and crazy. We can't have some guy in a suit, trying to tamp down on that. That's just ridiculous. That's not how we got along in the first place.
exactly. And I think that's why you also have the following that you do and had the following that you did, because you were unique. It's easy to be like everybody else, and it's even easier though to be yourself.
Yeah, well, we did piss off a few people along the way.
That's kind of
From the
fun
very
sometimes.
for the very get it's kind of surprising when it happens. It's like our very first EP. I think we had a women's group in San Francisco very upset with us over a song called Something, because it talked about kicking a woman in the teeth, and it sounds terrible, and I understand, but it was all done in joke. It's like you don't criticize an actor for playing a thug in a movie. It's a part.
I'm glad you brought that up. Like, people don't realize, like, even me on my radio show, a lot of times on my radio show, there's zero filter. Okay. Like, whatever weird, screwed up thought comes in my head is coming out on the mic, because you're just like playing a role. And I have people have known me my whole life. They'll call me up and they're like, "What the fuck happened to you?" I'm like, "I'm just playing a role, man. Like, I'm entertaining, and people don't get that concept." It blows my mind, you know? I mean,
It's showbiz.
like I said, if a band name is called the Butthole Surfers, are you really going to expect them to be like serious suit type people? I don't think so. Like,
No, we go through the underground scene and survive out the other end and get signed to a major label, and people are upset because we sold out, to be on a major label. But god damn, I mean, the Butthole Surfers on the same label with the Beatles and Creedence Clearwater Revival and Grand Funk and Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra. It's like, come on, man, I'm not passing that up just to be cool.
see, I love that you're saying that, because, it is kind of a thing. Like, when you're a teenager, at least me, I was kind of thinking that whole sellout thing, poser sellout thing, not towards you, actually towards, like I said, Metallica. I felt that way about the Black Album. But then as I became an adult, I was like, well, that was a pretty stupid way of me thinking. Like, first of all, as an artist, don't you want to grow? Why do you don't want to stay a garage band forever? And, why would you pass that up? Like, to be on the same label as the Beatles? Like, I don't think it gets much better than that.
No, and be able to smoke a joint on the roof of the Capitol building and work with John Paul fucking Jones.
Right?
That stuff was just awesome, and it made no sense. I mean, the Butthole Surfers of all bands, it reads like a joke.
100%. But I think it's also, like a band like you also paved the way for other bands, especially underground and punk bands, that maybe even they felt, okay, the Butthole Surfers are doing it. Maybe it's okay for us to actually get better at what we do.
Ooh, well, I feel like we got worse at what we did. It's a testament to the value of trying. It's like, why bother? Our first record came out, and I thought it sounded so like cheap. And I mean, we recorded it and mixed it in like 3 days, and it wasn't what I wanted to sound like. And then the first full-length album comes out, and it was getting a little better for me, but it was still not what I had in mind. And album after album, and the kids like the early stuff, the stuff that didn't sound the way I was wanting to sound, but that's how he sounded. And that's, it's recording is like taking a picture of a band, and then it takes years and decades to finally hone it in and get the sound and everything the way you like it. And I don't know how those early fans feel about our later stuff. Some of them like it, some of them don't.
You know what
at least I got to achieve what I wanted to achieve.
Well, that's what's important. And you know what, a way I think about it is, listen, as an artist, first of all, you're going to want to grow, especially a lot of times you start a punk band because you don't even know how to play your instrument yet. So you start to learn more and get better. And then it's kind of like I was just sitting with COC recently. And, listen, I remember them pre-Pepper when they were hardcore punk. And I have that nostalgia of that, but I can also see the other side of an artist not wanting to stay there and like explore. Like, that's one of the cool things about your band is you explore different genres all within one song usually. And like, that's, to me, that's what an artist is experimenting, exploring, and seeing how far you could take your creativity.
Yeah, and and you combine that with the fact that you're playing live, which means you're on the road and you're playing these songs night after night after night after night, and you kind of get tired of the songs and the way they sound, and that kind of helps prod you along to do something a little different so that you don't have to play something you're getting sick of.
Exactly. I know one band recently at a festival, they were like, okay, we're going to play this song now because we have to, and you're all going to love it because you want it, but here you go. And it is, and if you read the room, it's like, okay, well, they really lost their juice for playing that song, but now they have to play that song. And I think it's cool when bands actually play new stuff because I want to hear what they've grown into, what they've evolved into. And sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's different. Sometimes it's just something out of total norm for them just because they felt like doing it.
That's what kind of reminds me. We did a tour a long time ago with Stone Temple Pilots, and I did a lot of hanging out with Dean DeLeo. He's a hoot, man. The guy's funny as shit. But we used to smoke a lot of pot together, and we were on their bus before a show somewhere. Big show, a lot of people, and the manager comes into the bus all upset because they didn't have their hit song on their playlist, their set list that they were going to do, and the manager's like, "You got to play that song." And we were stoned out of our minds, and we were laughing at him asking for it. And so he was saying no, and the manager kept saying yes, and we were just laughing our asses off because it wasn't so much that he was refusing to do it. It was just so funny to say no, and that went on for like a half an hour, and they never did play that song. So,
I love it. That's the punk attitude right there.
I would have probably played it just because, I feel sorry for the kids that pay money to come see us. They got to get something out of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's kind of the thing, So how do you feel about, like, how excited are you about After the Astronaut coming out? Because it's like, I mean, we're a lot of years later. Like, it took a long and winding road to get here.
Well, it's really fun. I mean, when Weird Revolution came out, we were on Hollywood Records, and we got like one single, and it was the song co-written with Kid Rock, and we had an expensive video a really expensive video, and it was fun making that video, but it was a song that we didn't like, and uh, there wasn't a whole lot of publicity other than that surrounding the release of that album. And with this one, we're on Sunset Blvd Records, and they've been promoting it pretty good, and we're making lots of videos for the album, and so that's really fun. I feel like we got labels that's got nothing better to do than help us succeed. So
See, I love that. I love when you have record labels nowadays that like let the artist actually enjoy the process and do it the way they want, and help them along the way instead of
yeah, well,
telling them.
it's a lot of work on their end to do it that way. That's setting up interviews and uh, setting up videos and all that stuff. I mean, that takes work, and so it's fun to work with people that are willing to do it.
Yeah, and it makes you feel good after all these years that a record label is going to have enough faith in you to do it the way you want to do it.
That does, and this is probably our last album. I think there'll be a box set eventually after this, but this is our last like official studio release, and it's been really fun. Just the fact that we're getting to do it at all, I'm just so thrilled that we get our last record gets to be something we're happy with, as opposed to something I'm embarrassed about. So,
I love it. I love hearing that, and you deserve it after all these years. And I'm really stoked about the documentary because I love, to me, it's like home movies, a lot of these documentaries of bands like you guys. And that's pretty cool. And it shows the real side of you. The part I laughed about the most on the trailer itself was, or actually the teaser trailer before the official trailer, was that one producer, I forget which one, saying, "Yeah, like they're just assholes."
oh, that was Steve Albini.
And I was like, "That is funny as hell." I love it.
Steve Albini, R.I.P. He did not like us. He just thought we were horrible, terrible people. And he's in the documentary, and he talks about what big assholes we are and all that stuff. But
yeah, he said you're like the most horrible human beings ever, or something like that.
it's all because we left Touch and Go Records to be on Capitol or whatever it was we did, and that was not an amicable split, and it should have been, because they were good to us and we were good to them, and they were our friends and all that. But at one point, we wanted a deal equal to the deal they were giving to some of the other bands. It was better for the bands, and we felt like we should be getting, as good a deal as anybody on that label. And when that started to become a thing, we were told that they owned our music for life, and that that set me off the deep end. The second I heard that, it was over for me. It's like, I'm out of here, dude. We'll see about that.
No doubt.
Had to go to court over it, and then go to appeals court over it, and in the end, the appeals court, the federal appeals court, big time fucking federal appeals court, ruled in our favor, because all we had was an oral contract, and it took all that legal proceeding to come up with the fact that an oral contract isn't worth the paper it's not printed on. Or
Right.
So,
well, I'm glad that you did get it back. I'm glad you put this album out now, and man, thank you for all these years of just giving us great entertainment, not just music, but great entertainment. Because again, I'll end it like I started it. Best live show ever.
I appreciate that. And by the way, our movie is coming out at the end of the summer, our documentary, and you haven't seen it all, right?
I have not seen it all. I know it's available, but I want to see it the right way. And I really dig, going back to that, you would include him in the documentary, because that just makes the documentary real. Like, it's not one-sided.
Oh, yeah.
You're showing every side, and it actually gave me humor too.
Well, you know, we were hands off. Tom Stern made the documentary. He directed it, and we've known him since the 80s, and we worked with him before, and he's a comedic genius, and he brought that comedic genius to the documentary. And one of the good things he did was hire a really great editor, and the editing of that documentary really makes it into a compelling story that, you know, I've seen documentaries where it was just one talking head after another, and it's just like, bleh.
Right.
But ours is put together really well, you know, and I learned stuff about my bandmates that I didn't know. You know, he interviews and kept badgering us until he got us to open up about things. And I learned stuff about Gibby that I didn't know, and I'm proud of him for opening up about some of the things he went through in childhood. And yeah, I highly recommend to anybody out there to go see the documentary when it comes out. It's going to be first released on the Alamo Drafthouse chain. So if you're near an Alamo Drafthouse, try to make it out there. And if not, it'll be, you know, streamed and all that other stuff, Blu-ray crap. But anyway, that's my pitch for the documentary.
I love it. I love the new album because it's true you. You know, it's on your own terms, and that's the only way it should be with artists. And I thank you for spending the time with me to talk about it, and thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Well, thank you for having me, Pipeman.
Oh, my pleasure.
Hi, this is Paul Leary from the Butthole servers, and you're listening to the Pipeman on W4CY.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.